Now, one of the first Trinitarian proof texts we'll consider is 1 John 5:7. And part of the reason for that is because it actually is the only verse in the New Testament that basically says God is 3 in 1. God is three persons in one. And it's one of the most famous for that. And it says, "For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. There are three that bear witness on the earth, the Spirit, the water, and the blood, and these three agree in one." This text is the closest thing to a statement of the Trinity in the Bible, but it bears no authority because the earliest Greek New Testament contain it only dates to the 16th century. Let that sink in for a second. The New Testament is written in Greek, and the oldest Greek New Testament manuscript that actually has it in the text itself, the only earliest Greek New Testament that has it in the text itself, only dates to the 16th century. Absolutely none of the ancient Greek texts contain it. None whatsoever. Read any book on textual criticism, which is the study of getting back to the studying the manuscripts and trying to make sure what is original and what is not, and so on. And you will see that all of the New Testament textual scholars confirm this. One of the best books on this subject is The Text in the New Testament's Transmission, Corruption, and Restoration by Bruce Metzger, who is one of the most influential New Testament scholars of the 20th century. You can examine photographs of the oldest complete Greek New Testament, dated around 8350. It is just an example. This is one of many examples. And you can see with your own eyes it's not there, and you can look it up at codexsinaiticus.org as of this recording. The Greek manuscripts that predate the 1500s look like this. "For there are three that testify, the Spirit, the water, and the blood, and these three agree in one." It does not contain the whole Father, Word, and Holy Ghost. The whole section is just simply not there. Those who defend this verse try to find reasons to say that it was removed from the manuscripts. However, there's no hard evidence that was ever in the original manuscripts. The hard evidence we do have is that all of the oldest manuscripts from many different locations do not contain this passage. This is absolute verifiable fact. It was added by the Catholic theologian Erasmus in his third edition of the Greek New Testament in 1522 due to the Catholic Church's objections to it not being in the first two editions. Basically what Erasmus did was, prior to that time, he had the Greek New Testament manuscripts, and what a manuscript is, it's a handwritten book. Erasmus was trying to create a printed version so that it could be mass-produced and easy for people to read and such. So these first two editions of the printed Greek New Testament did not contain that. He finally added to the third edition in 1522. He stated they did not include it in the first two editions because he could not find a single Greek manuscript that contained it. This is why I emphasize the fact that there are none that date prior to the 1500s. Now, just to cover my bases, there are a few Greek manuscripts prior to this that contain it as a note in the margin. In other words, writing the text and then writing a little side note. A side note is not part of the actual text. It's just a note that someone has added in. However, not a single Greek New Testament manuscript dating before the 16th century contains it in the biblical text itself. Now, the closest you'll find in the Greek is there is one Latin Bible that has parallel Greek text, and the parallel Greek text has been modified to conform to the Latin text. It does not conform to any independent Greek text. And in that one, the Latin Bible with basically a Greek version beside it does contain that, but it's not an independent Greek witness. So it's not an independent Greek witness to this passage. If you want an ancient biblical manuscript that contains it in the text, there are a few ancient Latin Vulgates that contain it. In other words, for the origins of this verse, they lie in the Catholic Church, not in the original Greek manuscripts.